cutlet refers to a thin slice of meat from the leg or ribs of veal, pork, or mutton. A fried breaded cutlet. A croquette, a cutlet-shaped patty made of ground meat. A kind of fish cut where the fish is sliced perpendicular to the spine, rather than parallel, often synonymous with steak. A prawn, a shrimp with its head and outer shell removed, leaving only the flesh and tail. Various preparations using fried cutlets are croquettes. American cuisine. For the late 1700s until about 1900, virtually all recipes for cutlets in English-language cookbooks referenced veal cutlets. Then pork cutlets began to appear. More recently, in American cuisine, the cutlet is more famously made using chicken. The cutlet is usually coated with flour, egg and breadcrumbs, then fried in a pan with some oil. Cutlets are used in several different meals. Austrian cuisine. Australian cuisine. Australians eat lamb cutlets battered with egg yolk and breadcrumbs. Chicken cutlets are also very popular, but known as chicken schnitzel. Both lamb cutlets and chicken schnitzel are a staple of Australian children's cuisine. Amongst most Australians of Italian descent, the term schnitzel is replaced by the term cutlet. Cutlets amongst this population are usually veal or chicken. British cuisine. In British cuisine, the cutlet is usually unbreaded and can also be called a chop. If referring to beef, more than one piece together would be generally called a rib of beef or a rib joint, whilst lamb ribs are called a rack, or rack of lamb. Lamb racks can also be tied into a circular shape before cooking, with the ribs on the outside, giving a crown shape, leading to the name crown of lamb. Hong Kong cuisine. In Hong Kong, the cutlet was introduced during the period of British colonial occupation along with other cooking influences. It is seen as side chan, or Western cuisine. Veal, pork and chicken are battered and deep-fried for lunch. Seafood such as shrimp or scallop that is battered or breaded and deep-fried such as can also be known as cutlet in Hong Kong. It is usually served alongside rice or spaghetti noodles. Indian cuisine. In Indian cuisine, a cutlet specifically refers to cooked meat stuffing that is fried with a batter covering. The meat itself is cooked with spices, onion, cardamom, cloves, cinnamon, coriander, green chilies, lemon and salt. This is then dipped in an egg mix and then in breadcrumbs, and fried in ghee or vegetable oil. The vegetarian version has no meat in it. Instead, the filling is a combination of mashed potatoes, onion, green chilies, spices and salt, cooked for a bit together. This version is more popular with the vegetarian Indian population. An example is the aloo tikki. Iranian cuisine. In Iran, cutlet consists of a mix of ground beef, mashed potatoes, onions and breadcrumbs fried in a pan and is very popular. Italian cuisine. The use of the cutlet is quite widespread in Italian cuisine in many different variations. The most famous variant is the Milanese cutlet, a veal cutlet covered in breadcrumbs and fried in butter. It should not be mistaken for the Wiener Schnitzel, because it's a different cut of meat. The Milanese cutlet cut includes the bone, whereas the Wiener Schnitzel doesn't. It is disputed whether the cutlet alla Milanese originated the Wiener Schnitzel, or vice versa. Japanese cuisine. The cutlet was introduced to Japan during the Meiji period, in a Western cuisine restaurant in the fashionable Ginza district of Tokyo. The Japanese pronunciation of cutlet is katsuretsu. In Japanese cuisine, katsuretsu, or shorter katsu, is actually the name for a Japanese version of the Wiener Schnitzel, a breaded cutlet. Dishes with katsu include tonkatsu and katsudon. Polish cuisine. The Polish pork cutlet, cutlet-shaped, is a pork chop coated with breadcrumbs. Cutlet-shaped can be served with mashed potatoes, home fries, pierogi, fried mushrooms, cooked vegetables, with salads or with coleslaw. Cutlet z curry is a chicken cutlet coated with breadcrumbs. Cutlet-z indica is a turkey cutlet coated with breadcrumbs. Cuisines of Russia, Ukraine and other countries of former Soviet Union. In modern Russian, the word cutlet-a refers almost exclusively to pan-fried minced meat croquettes, cutlet-shaped patties. Bread soaked in milk, onions, garlic, and herbs is usually present in the recipe. When in a hurry, a cutlet can be eaten between bread slices like a hamburger, but this fast meal is rarely served in restaurants. At home, it is most often served with pan-fried potatoes, mashed potatoes, pasta, etc. In the middle of the 20th century, industrially produced, semi-processed ground meat cutlets were introduced in the USSR, colloquially known as Mikoyan cutlets. These were cheap pork or beef cutlet-shaped patties which resembled American burgers. A particular form known as Pozharsky cutlet is an elaborated version of minced poultry cutlet covered with breadcrumbs. A distinct feature of this cutlet is that butter is added to minced meat, which results in an especially juicy and tender consistency. Another Russian version of a cutlet, called otbivnaya cutlet, meaning beaten cutlet, is a fried slice of meat, usually pork or beef, beaten flat with a tenderizing hammer or knife handle and covered with beaten eggs, dough or breadcrumbs. The recipe is similar to those of escalopes, schnitzel, Polish or American cutlets. Today, this dish is simply called otbivnaya, with the word cutlet reserved for minced meat patties. Chicken Kiev is called cutlet po-kievsky in Russian, and similarly cutlet po-kievsky in Ukrainian, which means Kiev-style cutlet.